Hidden memories. The morning light filtered through Vikram Rai's penthouse windows, casting long shadows across his minimalist bedroom. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling glass, Mumbai's skyline stretching before him like a kingdom he had conquered but found no joy in ruling. At 32, he had become what business magazines called India's most eligible tech titan, a title that brought him no satisfaction. His phone buzzed with his assistant, Rohan's message. Board meeting in 30 minutes. Marriage discussion on agenda again. Vikram sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. For the past year, his board of directors and his traditional family had been pushing the same argument. Rai-Tech needed stability, an alliance with another powerful business family, and most importantly, a CEO whose personal life inspired confidence rather than speculation. "You've built an empire," his father had said last week. But what's an empire without a legacy? As Vikram adjusted his tie, his eyes caught the edge of a weathered sketchbook tucked away on his bookshelf. 5 years had passed, but he still couldn't bring himself to open it. Inside were drawings by hands he once knew better than his own prior Meta's hands, the artist who had captured his heart during their university days at IIT Bombay. Before she vanished without explanation, the memories came unbidden. Their spot beneath the banyan tree on campus, her charcoal-stained fingers tracing his face. The tiny art studio she rented in Bandra where they dreamed of her opening her own gallery someday. Then the night everything changed, her father's finance company collapsing under allegations of fraud. And the next morning, nothing but a handwritten note. "Some dreams weren't meant to be. Please forget me." He had done everything but forget. "Mr. Rai." Rohan appeared at his door. "Your car is waiting." At the meeting, Vikram sat impassively as his board members and his father's oldest friend, Ashok Sharma, laid out their proposal. "My niece Ananya has just returned from London," Sharma explained. "Oxford educated, comes from an impeccable family, and understands business discretion. The merger between our families would calm investor concerns about your personal stability." "I've built this company from nothing," Vikram replied coldly. "My personal life is irrelevant." His CFO cleared her throat. "With respect, sir, your reputation affects our stock price. The tabloids' speculation about why you never date has started affecting investor confidence." "So I should marry a stranger to please the market?" Vikram challenged. His father's friend leaned forward. "Not a stranger. A suitable match. Someone who understands your world." Vikram stared out the window at the city he had conquered through sheer determination after Priya left. Each skyscraper represented another year without her, another accomplishment that felt hollow. Perhaps it was time to concede this battle. Maybe a marriage of convenience was fitting for a man who had already lost his only chance at love. "Fine," he said finally. "Arrange the meeting with your niece." "Actually," Sharma said hesitantly, "Ananya has one condition. She's single quotes as ... traditional. She believes in the sanctity of marriage and wants no preliminary meetings. The first time you'll see each other will be at the engagement ceremony." Under normal circumstances, Vikram would have laughed at such an archaic request, but what did it matter? One face was as good as another when none of them were hers. "I have a condition as well," Vikram countered. "This will be a marriage in name only. I will provide everything she needs, but expect nothing beyond public appearances." As the board members exchanged glances, Vikram stood. "Set the date. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run." That evening, as Mumbai's lights flickered to life below his penthouse, Vikram finally pulled out Priya's old sketchbook. Among the drawings was one she'd made of him, eyes focused on some distant point, a half smile on his lips. Below it, she had written, "The future you're always chasing, I hope it brings you happiness." He closed the book gently. "It didn't," he whispered to the empty room. Veiled promises. 6 weeks after the board meeting, Vikram stood in the lavishly decorated wedding venue at the Sharma family's ancestral estate outside Mumbai. The traditional ceremony was scheduled to begin in 20 minutes, and he had yet to see his bride's face. True to the arrangement, he and Ananya had maintained their distance, their engagement. Ceremony conducted with her heavily adorned in traditional jewelry and makeup that obscured her features. "Are you nervous?" asked Rohan, adjusting Vikram's ornate Shawani collar. "Should I be?" Vikram replied with practiced indifference. "It's a business transaction, not a love match." But despite his cool exterior, something unsettled him. During the brief ritual interactions they'd shared, Ananya had kept her eyes downcast, her voice barely above a whisper. Yet there was something hauntingly familiar about her presence that he couldn't place a scent perhaps, or the way she moved her hands when accepting the ritual gifts. "Your mother would have been proud," Vikram's father said, approaching with a rare display of emotion. "She always wanted to see you married in the traditional way." Vikram nodded, thinking of his mother who had passed away 3 years ago. Would she have approved of this charade? Probably not. She had been the one who encouraged his relationship with Priya all those years ago, seeing past social status to the genuine connection they shared. The ceremony began with all the pomp expected for two prominent families. Guests from India's business and political elite filled the hall, many there to witness the merger of influence as much as the marriage itself. Vikram went through the motions mechanically, playing his part in the elaborate dance of tradition. When the time came for the bride to enter, a hush fell over the gathering. Ananya appeared in a rich crimson and gold lehenga, her face covered by an embroidered veil. As she took careful steps toward the mandap, guided by her female relatives, Vikram noticed her hands trembling slightly around her bouquet. She's nervous too, he thought with unexpected empathy. This woman was also sacrificing for her family's expectations. The pundit began the Sanskrit mantras, guiding them through the sacred rituals. Throughout it all, Vikram couldn't stop glancing at the veiled figure beside him, trying to glimpse anything of the woman he was binding his life to. During the Saptopadi, the 7 steps around the sacred fire, Ananya's hand felt small but steady in his. For a moment, the familiar sensation triggered a memory he couldn't quite grasp. Finally came the moment when, according to tradition, he would see his bride's face for the first time. As the bride's cousin stepped forward to lift the veil, Vikram prepared himself for the face of a stranger. The heavy fabric lifted. Vikram's breath caught in his throat. Time suspended itself as he stared into eyes he had dreamed about. For 5 years, warm brown eyes flecked with gold that had once looked at him with love across university classrooms in tiny Mumbai cafes. Priya, the room continued to buzz with celebration around them. But Vikram heard nothing. His body completed the remaining rituals automatically while his mind raced through possibilities. How was this possible? Was this some cruel joke, a hallucination born from unresolved grief? Her eyes held his, filled with quiet pleading and something else, fear. She gave an imperceptible shake of her head, warning him to maintain composure. When the ceremony concluded and they were pronounced husband and wife, the guests erupted in applause. Through the receiving line of well-wishers, Vikram moved like a man underwater, accepting congratulations while stealing glances at his bridette, somehow now called Ananya, who played her part flawlessly. "You look pale," his father whispered during a momentary lull. "Are you unwell?" "I'm fine," Vikram managed, though nothing would ever be fine again. Hours later, when they were finally left alone in the luxurious hotel suite reserved for their first night as a married couple, Vikram stood by the window, still in his ceremonial clothes, watching her reflection in the glass. She had removed her heavy jewelry and headdress but remained in her wedding attire, standing in the middle of the room with her hands clasped tightly before her. "Are you going to say something?" she finally asked. Her voice the same melody he remembered but somehow more guarded. Vikram turned slowly. 5 years, he said, his voice barely controlled. 5 years of thinking you simply didn't care enough to stay. 5 years building a life around your absence. And now I find you're Ananya Sharma. How is this possible? It wasn't supposed to be like this, she whispered. When Uncle Ashok mentioned your name as the potential match, I tried to refuse. But what? Vikram demanded, crossing the room in 3 strides, stopping just short of touching her. What game is this, Priya? Or should I call you Ananya now? Her eyes met his, steady despite the tears gathering at their edges. Both names are mine, and this is no game, Vic. This is survival. Something in her voice, a thread of the same fear he'd glimpsed during the ceremony, made him step back. Then, explain, he said, softening slightly, because right now, I don't know whether to be furious or ... Or, she prompted when he trailed off. Vikram looked at the woman he had never stopped loving, now returned to him through the strangest twist of fate. Or grateful that you're alive, he finished honestly, because there were days I wasn't sure. Priya took a deep breath, gathering her courage. After my father's company collapsed, we discovered it wasn't just bad investments. He had uncovered evidence of money laundering through his firm by Kapadia. Vikram stiffened at the name, one of Mumbai's most notorious businessmen with alleged connections to organized crime. Kapadia threatened my entire family. He said if my father went public with what he knew, none of us would survive the week. Her voice trembled. My uncle Ashok, my mother's brother, offered us protection by taking me in as his niece, Ananya, who had been studying abroad. We staged my disappearance, created a new identity, and you couldn't tell me any of this. Vikram's voice cracked. Kapadia had people watching you too. He knew you were my weakness. She reached for his hand tentatively. Leaving you was the hardest thing I've ever done. Asterisk shattered silences. Dawn broke over Mumbai as Vikram and Priya sat on opposite ends of the suite's balcony. 5 years of absence stretched between them like an uncrossable chasm. The revelation of her true identity had led to a night of painful truths rather than the traditional first night of marriage. My father died last year, Priya said, watching the city awaken below. Heart attack, they said. But I think it was the stress of living in fear, of losing everything he'd built. Vikram studied her profile, still adjusting to the miracle of her presence. And your mother, living quietly in Pune under my aunt's name. She doesn't go out much. She turned to him with eyes that had seen too much hardship. I never stopped painting though. In London, I sold my work under yet another name. I built Rytech thinking you had simply walked away from us, Vikram said, the hurt still evident. Every achievement was another brick in the wall I put up around your memory. And I followed every headline about you, she admitted. Watching you succeed from afar was both wonderful and agonizing. The morning light caught the mangalsutra around her neck, the symbol of their marriage that had brought them together through twisted fate. When Uncle Ash mentioned arranging my marriage to you, I panicked. I tried to refuse, but then ... She hesitated. Then what? Vikram pressed. Then I learned Kapadia's business was failing. Your company had outmaneuvered his tech investments at every turn. The protection of becoming your wife meant I could finally stop running. Her eyes met his. I never intended for you to discover who I was until I was sure we were safe. Vikram processed this information, his business mind already calculating implications. So Kapadia is vulnerable now. Yes, but still dangerous. He doesn't know who I am yet. But if he discovers Ananya Sharma is really Priya Mehta. Vikram's phone rang. Rohan calling about urgent business. The outside world was intruding already. We'll continue this discussion tonight, Vikram said, standing. For now, we maintain appearances. As far as anyone knows, we're newlyweds adjusting to married life. And are we? Priya asked quietly. Just maintaining appearances. The question hung between them. Unanswered. Rebuilding trust. Weeks passed in a careful dance of public appearances and private revelations. By day, they played the part of Mumbai's most powerful new couple. By night, they slowly reconstructed the truth of their shared past. In Vikram's home office one evening, they spread out newspaper clippings and financial records. Kapadia's company lost a government contract to Rytech last month, Vikram noted, reviewing documents. He's overleveraged and desperate. Priya nodded, examining old records her father had hidden. These show how he used my father's company for laundering money from his overseas operations. Their hands touched as they reached for the same document. The simple contacts sent electricity through both of them, a reminder of what remained unresolved between them. We could take this to the authorities now, Vikram suggested. Not yet, Priya countered. We need to ensure my mother's safety first. As they worked together, the distance between them gradually diminished. One evening at a charity gala, Vikram watched Priya charm investors with her knowledge of art and business. The pride he felt surprised him not, the possessive pride of having a suitable wife for show, but genuine admiration for her resilience. Later that night, returning home, Priya noticed a painting hanging in the hallway, one of her old works from university. Who kept this? She whispered, touching the canvas gently. I kept everything, Vikram admitted. That night, for the first time since their wedding, they shared a bed, not as lovers yet, but as companions, finding comfort in each other's presence. The following week brought crisis. Priya's mother fell ill, forcing them to visit her in Pune. As they left the private hospital, Vikram noticed a familiar car following them. We've been made, he said quietly to Priya. Kapadia's men. Their driver took evasive action through Pune's crowded streets, while Vikram called his security team. That night, in the safety of a company's safe house, they faced the reality that their time for planning had run out. I won't lose you again, Vikram said fiercely, pulling Priya into his arms. The kiss that followed broke through the last walls between them, years of hurt dissolving into renewed connection. Canvas of tomorrow. The confrontation came sooner than expected. Kapadia made his move at the Rytech annual investor meeting, sending men to intercept Priya while Vikram was presenting. But they were prepared. As Kapadia's men approached, police officers stationed throughout the venue moved in. The evidence Vikram and Priya had carefully compiled, including testimony from former employees and the records her father had preserved, was enough for authorities to arrest Kapadia on multiple charges. In the aftermath, they faced the public together. The story of Priya's return made headlines, but rather than hide from the publicity, they used it to fully expose Kapadia's crimes. 1 month later, Vikram stood beside Priya at the opening of her first gallery showing under her real name. Her paintings, vivid works that told stories of loss, hiding, and ultimately finding home again, captivated Mumbai's art scene. Are you happy? Vikram asked as they stole a moment alone among the artworks. I'm free, she replied, her fingers intertwining with his. For the first time in 5 years, I'm not looking over my shoulder. In the center of the gallery hung a new painting, a portrait of Vikram as he was now, successful but with eyes that had known loss, standing beside a banyan tree like the one from their university days. Beneath it was the title, The Road Back to You. That night, in their home above the city lights, they sat together planning their future, not as business associates in a marriage of convenience, but as partners who had found their way back to each other against impossible odds. What happens now? Priya asked, her head resting against his shoulder. Vikram smiled, touching the wedding band on his finger, once a symbol of obligation, now transformed into something genuine. Now we start again. No more hiding, no more running. He kissed her gently. Just us, building the life we should have had all along. Outside their window, Mumbai stretched before them, the same city where they had lost and found each other, where they had both built lives of success that felt incomplete until now. I have something for you, Vikram said, leading her to his study. There, on his desk, sat a small box. Inside was the key to a building in the arts district. What is this? Priya asked, confused. The gallery is just the beginning, he explained. This is the space for the art school you always talked about starting. Tears filled her eyes as she recognized that he had remembered every dream she had shared all those years ago. Our companies, our marriage, they were mergers of convenience, Vikram said softly. But this is a merger of purpose. As midnight approached, they stood together on their balcony, the city lights reflecting like stars below them. The portrait that had changed everything, that moment of recognition across 5 years of separation, had led them here, to a future neither could have imagined during their years apart. Some dreams weren't meant to be, Priya murmured, echoing the words from her goodbye letter. Vikram turned her to face him. And some dreams just take the longer path to reality. Their story of love lost and found, of identities hidden and reclaimed, had come full circle. In a city built on ambition and connection, they had found their way back to the most important connection of all.